NFL Top Speed Superbowl 38 halftime show. Starring Janet Jackson.
Houston! Choose to
been hinted before the game there would be something shocking in Janet's performance.
And all of a sudden you hear the whole back row go, I'm like, what? What happened?
Some speculate the indecent exposure could jumpstart Janet's career.
Time duet has now sparked a federal investigation.
The shocker is not a laughing matter to the FCC. The commission has launched an investigation into the stunt, and CBS and its affiliates could end up paying heavy fines totaling in the millions.
How soon afterwards did you know that this was something seismic?
And I ran to a friend's room, and she happened to be watching CNN, and there was a headline underneath talking about Justin and I being arrested in Houston.
In 2004, Janet Jackson took to the coveted Superbowl stage to perform during the halftime show. The performance was packed with hype, anticipation, and high expectations. However, the overall impact was massive, but not in the way anyone expected. Instead of being remembered for her artistry or discography, it became one of the most controversial moments in pop culture history. She was blacklisted by media outlets, her music was pulled from the radio, and she faced intense public scrutiny and industry backlash. The controversy overshadowed the rollout for her 8th studio album, Damita Joe, and stalled her commercial momentum. In this video, we'll revisit the now infamous incident and how this impacted the Damita Joe era. Love music. Dive deeper into the stories behind the hits and hidden gems, and explore the eras that have defined some of your favourite artists. Subscribe now and never miss a beat. Hit that bell icon so you're always the first to know when I drop new content. Now back to the video. After wrapping up her All For You tour in 2002, Janet began working on a new album. Longtime collaborator Jimmy Jam shared that they talked about a number of different ideas before deciding to start fresh with an entirely new project. As with many of Janet's projects early on, the album's musical direction was wide-ranging, with ideas bouncing from classic house tracks to more guitar-driven sounds and ambient textures. There wasn't a clear vision at first, but the trio wrote songs and explored what felt right. During that phase, they drew inspiration from artists like 07 and Telepop Music, with the latter who would end up contributing to an interlude for the record. Janet also explored working with a number of new producers, including Babyface, Kanye West, Sean Garrett, Dallas Austin, Scott Storch, and the Swedish duo Bag and Arnthor. Several other collaborations were considered but ultimately didn't happen, including a potential duet with Justin Timberlake and rumoured pairings with Richard X, Basement Jaxx, Daniel Bedingfield, Mario Winans, and P. Diddy.
This time around, it has been a little bit easier for me from that aspect of producing and working with so many different people. But producing is kind of like directing. And, you come up with an idea. Just because you come up with the idea doesn't mean it's going to work. And you flesh it out right there at that moment, whether it's a guitar riff and this is the idea that you have. And most of the time what you hear and they play, that's what you want. But a lot of times you're like, okay, that's not quite sounding the way I wanted it to. Let's try this. Or let's add this here, which you didn't think you would do. But for the most part, with the guys that I worked with this time, I just, I kind of put it in their hands. And then, of course, working with Jimmy and having my say-so and 2 cents added into that, and with some of the other guys that I worked with as well. But it's really been an experience that's been very enjoyable, which I didn't think it would be all the time, and it was every moment. It's my first time working with different producers, all of who I admire.
As with her past work, The 8th album was to be a reflection of the singer's personal life and emotions. Jam explained that her albums are snapshots of what she's thinking and feeling at the time, rooted in honesty and emotional connection with fans. Janet herself said she was opening up more than ever on the album, calling it her most intimate work yet. She sought out collaborators who could help translate her emotional state into sound.
Now with her eagerly anticipated Damita Joe album, Janet takes her incredible musical journey a step further.
I guess I am divulging a little bit more of myself on this album. It shows the different sides of me, the different characters that I feel that I display at different moments in my life. Damita Joe is definitely who I am today, in all her personality.
Well, it's been about 3 years since your last album, and this is there's a lot of meat in this album. Like, I feel like you spent a lot of time and a lot of attention to making it really diverse.
Musically, it goes back more to my roots of R&B, like the Control album. It's not as poppy as the All For You album. It goes back more to the R&B feel, and it is very diverse from one song to the next. But that's because of all the the different characters that are displayed from one song to the next.
This has taken me the longest, this album, to make. But I mean, there were some reasons why. There was a lot of stopping and starting. It took about maybe 18 months. It took quite a while. In the past, at the longest had been 6 months. Control took 2.5 months to do. Rhythm Nation took 3. So this is really different, but for me, for it to take this long to spew out an album, but there's good reason for it. I guess I am divulging a little bit more of myself on this album, and it's definitely much more intimate, and that's another side of myself that people have seen, but not to this level. It shows the different sides of me, the different characters that I feel that I display at different moments in my life. I've always wanted to do an album where the music is a complete departure from what people know me for, and I really didn't want anyone to know that it was me singing on the album. I was going to title it Damita Joe, which is my middle name. And when Dallas and I were sharing our middle names with one another, he had said to me, that's what you should call the album. And I thought, you know what, he's right. I shouldn't wait to do that. I should just use it now. Damita Joe is definitely who I am today, in all her schizophrenic personalities. One of the songs that I did on the album is titled Thinking About My Ex, which actually someone I've been dying to work with for a really long time, which is Kenny Babyface Edmonds. I think he's an amazing talent. He actually produced it, and it was written by a woman named Freckles. I think it's just a beautiful song. I fell in love with it the minute I heard it. Loved the lyrics, but it says it's thinking about my ex, and I had decided to put maybe in underneath that it's not who you think it is I'm talking about. I think that's very important for people to know. It's just an absolutely beautiful song, and for a split second, the idea came up to change the lyrics, because everyone thought this is a great song, but I'm not so sure you're gonna like the lyrics. And the song is so beautifully written, I didn't want to change them. I love them, all the songs on the album, equally. There isn't one in particular that I'm drawn to a little bit more than the others, because they all have a different and special meaning of their own, each and every song from myself. So I can't pinpoint one more than the other.
The first single, Just a Little While, ended up leaking online and began being played on radio stations. The leak forced the label to rush the single to release and get fans excited for the upcoming era. The track is a bright, guitar-driven pop-rock song with an upbeat, flirtatious vibe, and quite different from the R&B-leaning sound Janet was mostly known for. It showcased her playful side, with breezy vocals and a fast-paced tempo that gave it a lighter feel reflecting Janet's emotional state. Whilst Janet took on the writing, the track itself was produced by Dallas Austin, who was known for his work with TLC, Pink, and Gwen Stefani. The track stood out because it didn't sound like the darker, more sensual songs she'd later released from the project. The video echoes the sense of fun, combining this with a futuristic and slightly surreal visual that matches the upbeat, playful tone of the song. It was directed by Dave Meyers, a longtime collaborator with Janet who is known for his creative, stylized approach to pop visuals. The high-tech setting feels like a cross between a sci-fi movie and a pop star's dream studio. Janet plays multiple versions of herself throughout the video, dancing, performing and interacting with her surroundings as if she's in full control of the entire space. There's a recurring theme of surveillance and multiplicity. Cameras monitor her every move, showcasing her different personas. And while it's not a video with a lot of choreography in the traditional Janet sense, it has a lot of stylized movement and confident posing. The energy is fun and cheeky, with Janet flirting with the camera and the environment. Janet wears a mix of futuristic and glam rock inspired looks, lots of bold colours and accessories, and edgy hair choices. Her styling leans into the early 2000s aesthetic, but with a sleek, experimental twist that aligns with the video's cyber-themed set design. While playful on the surface, some fans have interpreted the video as a subtle commentary on celebrity surveillance, control, and identity. Janet is literally surrounded by screens showing herself, almost as if she's managing her own media narrative.
Just a little while, that's... This song... I mean, I'm so happy people have been as receptive to it as they have, but man, it's given me knots in my shoulders. It got leaked, and we tried to stop it because we weren't prepared to release it. It was always supposed to be the first single, but we weren't prepared to release it. And so it's kind of like playing catch up now with it all, trying to hurry up and get the video done because Europe got it. By the time we stopped it here, we found out Europe already had it. So we just said, okay, this thing is kind of bigger than us, so we have to kind of give into it. I wrote it with Dallas, and it's a very poppy song with a lot of guitar. It's a happy, up, fun song.
While early listeners and critics anticipated another smash hit after hearing the song, this would all change in February 2004, just one day before the single was released on iTunes. By 2004, Janet was already a global pop icon with a track record of era-defining performances. She wasn't just a singer, she was a visionary performer known for slick choreography, socially conscious themes, and creative visuals. So when MTV was announced as the producer for the halftime show and Janet was headlining, people knew it was going to be huge. The NFL had been trying to make the Super Bowl more appealing to younger audiences after years of classic rock acts. MTV had successfully produced previous halftime shows, so with the media company back on board and Janet at the centre, expectations were high for something edgy, youthful, and unforgettable. In the weeks leading up, rumours swirled about surprise guests. While P. Diddy, Kid Rock, and Nelly were announced performers, the real buzz surrounded who else might pop up during Janet's set. There were whispers about Justin Timberlake, fresh off his solo success, which kept fans guessing. From entertainment news shows to early internet forums, there was a lot of media excitement. People expected cutting-edge choreography, elaborate staging, and the kind of tightly produced spectacle Janet was known for. This was also before the days of YouTube and Twitter, but early blogs and fan forums were the go-to for music heads and pop culture lovers. Fans were downloading promo teasers and sharing screen grabs from behind-the-scenes footage or rehearsal leaks when they could get them. For millions of people watching at home, the halftime show was the main event, not just a break from football. Janet was a huge deal, as she was also someone who hadn't performed before, and having just kicked off the Damita Jo era, fans were excited to see if she'd perform any new material. MTV and CBS heavily promoted the show in the weeks before the game. Promos played up the surprise guests angle, which only fueled anticipation. There was a sense that she was going to deliver something spectacular, a performance that would set the tone for the year in music.
Choose your team.
Choose your music.
Choose your sport.
Choose to pursue your dream.
Lift off. Choose to speak your mind.
I have a dream.
Choose to be different. Be different.
Choose to be independent.
Choose to care.
When Justin appeared on stage, the crowd went wild. However, the infamous wardrobe malfunction during the final seconds of the performance triggered a cultural and media firestorm. It dominated headlines, talk shows, and political discourse, sparking debates about indecency, race, gender, and media regulation.
After Janet and Justin shocked the Super Bowl audience, security quickly ushered them off the field. When he got backstage, Timberlake seemed unaware of the controversy he helped create.
You got nasty with Miss Jackson.
It's every man's dream. We thought it would be cool instead of me just coming up by myself to kind of mix it up with her.
We caught Janet just before her performance, getting ready to take the stage. It had been hinted before the game there would be something shocking in Janet's performance. So, was the event planned or not? Today, the FCC announced an investigation into the incident. After her breast was bare, the NFL was upset, saying they were disappointed by the elements of the halftime show and that it's unlikely MTV will produce another Super Bowl halftime.
Minutes before her performance, Janet's brother Jermaine was escorted into the stadium by security.
I'm here to support my sister. Yeah, Janet.
And E.T. had the only camera inside the Jackson party, attended by brothers Tito, Jackie, and Jermaine.
I kind of felt something was wrong because she was hiding. I think it was an accident. So, there's going to be big controversy. Give people something to talk about, you know.
Janet's spokesperson said Justin was supposed to reveal her red bra, nothing more. Both stars called it a wardrobe malfunction. During the game, Justin seemed to forget about the controversy and was seen smooching with Cameron Diaz in the stands.
Let me just get something off my chest.
Justin Timberlake's first interview since the Super Bowl.
I was completely shocked and appalled, and all I could say was, oh my God, oh my God.
As Entertainment Tonight breaks the news that Janet Jackson is not going to the Grammys and her rehearsal videos have been confiscated.
Janet out of the Grammys. E.T. breaks the story. Hello, everybody. I'm Mary Hart.
And I'm Bob Goen. There is a new investigation as her rehearsal tapes are confiscated.
And Janet does what everyone's been waiting for. She apologizes on video. Mark Steinis has the latest.
Janet's stunning exit from the Grammy telecast came midday today. She was supposed to present to nominee Luther Vandross, who is still recovering from his stroke and cannot attend. Without him, she was told there was no need for her to be there. Late last night, she issued this statement about her Super Bowl debacle.
My decision to change the Super Bowl performance was actually made after the final rehearsal. MTV, CBS, the NFL had no knowledge of this whatsoever. And unfortunately, the whole thing went wrong in the end. I am really sorry if I offended anyone. That was truly not my intention.
The racy Super Bowl halftime show has caused changes in the NFL Pro Bowl this weekend. J.C. Chazé, Justin Timberlake's NSYNC bandmate, was to appear at halftime, but will now be replaced by Hawaiian Entertainment. He is in negotiations to sing the national anthem. And a source tells E.T. that CBS has confiscated all the tapes from MTV of Janet and Justin's rehearsal for the network's own internal investigation. Next week, it is expected that all parties will go to Washington for hearings at the FCC. But the baring of her breast during the Super Bowl halftime show has sent shockwaves through CBS. The Super Bowl did have a 5-second audio delay, a common practice to edit profanity. But the Jackson-less Grammys could have a delay of up to 5 minutes, which could take the live out of the telecast.
They're also going to work with a visual delay. They're not just censoring the audio element, they're going to have to cut away to some other image to substitute for whatever it is they cut out if someone does something very naughty on people.
Prior to her Grammy exit, the banner MTV CBS Janet and Justin Immoral Show flew over CBS headquarters in Los Angeles protesting the stunt. Late last night, at the premiere of the romantic comedy 50 First Dates, opening a week from Friday, stars were split on the scandal.
You know what? I was at the game, and unfortunately, I missed the breast, but I haven't seen it yet. But congratulations to everyone who saw it.
I don't get it. Whatever. Who cares?
During the Super Bowl, yeah, I think that wasn't cool. Honestly, I didn't think it was cool.
I don't know if it's appropriate for halftime Super Bowl. That is sort of a family event.
The Janet fallout may also affect the upcoming Oscar telecast. That show has always been broadcast live without any delay, but that may soon change.
Rehearsal where she and Justin reportedly plotted their shocking moment.
And Michael, man, he was so shocked he knocked over his can of Jesus juice. He said, "Oh my God."
The Janet Jackson interview, her secret marriage, the weight battles, the piercings.
I never thought that it would become what it has.
Right.
But the shocker is not a laughing matter to the FCC. The commission has launched an investigation into the stunt, and CBS and its affiliates could end up paying heavy fines totaling in the millions. Today in Boston, at the Patriots' victory parade, fans spoke out on Janet's peekaboo performance.
She can go do that wherever the hell she wants to. It doesn't belong there.
I thought it was crass, but I thought the whole halftime thing was crass, too.
I really was appalled. I couldn't believe it.
It didn't really bother me, but it wasn't appropriate.
Janet admits that there was a decision made at the last minute to have a costume reveal in the show, but that it was not intended to go as far as it did. Her red lace bra was supposed to remain in place after Justin tore her bustier off. We consulted Gerard Alessandrini, an expert on tearaway costumes. As the creator of Forbidden Broadway, playing in New York, he thinks Janet's costume seemed to have been made to strategically tear.
It must have been planned to come off. It also looked like it was designed to come off, the way it was sort of curved and went right under certain areas.
An inside source tells ET a lot of planning went into the stunt to make sure Janet's costume worked, and that it worked exactly as Janet wanted it to. The new issue of Us magazine on Stan's Friday reports that Janet and Justin had 4 days of rehearsal for their performance, including a secret session to practice the prank. But backstage afterwards, he was said to be visibly shaken when it went too far. He told onlookers he was worried what his grandmother would think. TiVo reports the controversial moment was the most replayed event in the company's history. Some speculate the indecent exposure could jumpstart Janet's career. She has a new album scheduled for March, and there are rumors it could be released earlier to capitalize on her newfound notoriety. Stars from Hollywood and the sports world spoke out on the controversy.
We should be a little more tolerant to be able to laugh at something like that. If it was unintentional. If it was intentional, then that's a different thing.
What did you think?
Honestly, I'm the mother of 4 young children, and I was watching it with my 4 young children, and I didn't appreciate it as a mother. It was shocking, but you know, I guess you kind of, you can expect anything, I guess, here in the entertainment world these days.
Well, we would like to know what you think. Should Janet and Justin be banned from the Grammys? Vote on our ET website, powered by Yahoo Entertainment. And coming up later, from the diets to her broken marriages, we open the ET vault for Janet's troubled life.
It was Janet Jackson, who's an unbelievable artist, and she had a couple guests. And it was Kid Rock, I think, and I think Puffy and Nelly. And then Justin was like the special guest with Janet. And Justin was doing like European tour and literally flew in on Thursday, walked out on stage, rehearsed with us, and flew back to LA. His girlfriend at the time was having a birthday party for him that Saturday night, and he flew back to Houston that Sunday afternoon, landed 45 minutes before the halftime show. It was crazy. The poor guy was like all over the place. And Janet had her wardrobe person and her choreographer had come up with this bit where Justin sings the last line was like, "Gonna have you naked by the end of this song." And on song, he was gonna pull off this breakaway skirt. So she'd still have like a unitard kind of thing underneath, but tear off the breakaway skirt, wide shot pyro out. So On Thursday, when she was rehearsing with the skirt, she had it on during Rhythm Nation, and it kept coming loose. So on Friday, when we were at off-site rehearsals, Janet had come up to me and said, I'm not really sure if I'm going to wear that skirt because it keeps coming loose, so I don't know if we're going to do that bit. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to be on a head-to-toe shot for it. If you tell me you're not going to do it, I can cut to something tighter. But if not, if I don't hear from you, I'll be on a head-to-toe shot for that line. And it was literally going to come off on song and then go wide, pyro out. So come around Sunday, we don't hear anything from the camp. And we're doing the halftime show. And we get to that part. And I'm cutting cameras. I'm not even looking at the camera that I just cut to. I'm just looking at what I'm going to next. And I'm about to cue pyro. And so I cut to the head-to-toe shot, get ready for the next wide shot, get ready to cue pyro. And all of a sudden, you hear the whole back row go, I'm like, what? What happened? Did I take the wrong shot? And it was this thing. And apparently, her wardrobe person came up with it. Justin literally rehearsed it once in her dressing room before they went out on stage. And I think the big mistake was that he was supposed to pull it off on song, and he pulled it off on end. So it was up for like 2 seconds instead of 15 frames. So also there was like a red lace thing that I think was supposed to stay on. So he went, gonna have you naked by the end of this song instead of gonna have you naked by the end of this song. So I will say this, MTV, no matter who anybody believes it or not, knew nothing about it. We knew about the tearaway skirt. We didn't know anything about the other thing. She was devastated because my stage manager was on the side of the stage, and Janet was sobbing, and she put like a blanket around her and left. It was just this weird thing that happened, and immediately the NFL got on, like literally within 30 seconds, they were doing like a press conference and like chastising MTV and saying that we held them hostage and that we did this and we did that. And I was deposed by lawyers, and it changed the face of television from here to come because you know, you can't do anything without several second delays anymore. And I don't think it was as huge a deal as everybody made it. And I think if it wasn't for TiVo and DVRs and YouTube, that I think a lot of people wouldn't have seen it. I didn't see it, and I was directing it. It was, and it was unfortunate. And I don't know why she chose to do it, because I think she was above all that other stuff that all the pop stars were doing at the time. And it's a shame because I think it's affected her career. Just musically, I mean, she's still a big star. But it was a weird time.
You know, when we scheduled this concert, I'm thinking back months and months and months and months ago, nobody had any idea that 2 months ago there would be this explosion that would take over a large part of your life. I got to ask you, if you could go back 2 months to those seconds, how much would you pay to do it differently, and what would you do?
I definitely would love to do it over again, and for sure, I know it wouldn't happen the way that it did.
How soon? No, you finish.
Well, you know, things happen. It's out of your control, and you just have to roll with the punches and we move on. You know?
How soon afterwards did you know that this was something seismic?
Gosh, I had gotten back to the hotel, and we were getting ready to go out that evening, and I ran to a friend's room, and she happened to be watching CNN, and there I saw the performance or that actual clip, and there was a headline underneath talking about Justin and I being arrested in Houston, possible. So I just was really taken aback. I didn't know that it really had escalated.
I saw David Letterman on Monday night.
Oh, you did?
I did. And he really grilled you hard. And I heard what you were saying, that you're not yet ready to go back and do detail by detail of what you intended. And then what you said was, I think you said, not supposed to happen like that. Something came out too far. I think that's what you said. But well, I got to ask you this. Yeah.
Kind of like that, but not like that.
What?
It was kind of like that, but not like that.
Okay. I got to ask you this, because there are a lot of people who said, I'm just convinced that this was rock shock, and that it just backfired. That it was something that was intended and just backfired. I don't believe it was accidental.
I've never done any stunts or anything like that, and it was an accident. It truly was an accident. And I mean, like I said, there was nothing that you could do about it, and you just got to roll with the punches. And I've moved on. I've moved on from it. Yeah.
Got to ask you this though, because you and I have talked about this before in interviews. What did your mom say to you?
Oh, she was very supportive. She said, "I know you're a very strong woman," and she said, "Just keep the faith and it'll pass." And she said, "I don't know why they're trying to do this to you, but it'll soon pass. And just stay strong, baby." And I have her strength, and I thank God for that.
But I think people have tried to imagine what it was to be you, seeing this go by, played over and over again, over and over and over again. I don't know how many times you saw it, and wondering if it shook you, if it changed you in some way.
It made me stronger. That's what it did. It made me much stronger.
I don't think anybody expected you to come out in turtlenecks singing.
I think they're basically saying they're going to talk about the album.
I'm having a little trouble hearing you. So if I don't seem to respond to you, it's because it's so hard up here. I can't tell everybody. But at any point did you say, I'm going to change what I wear? I'm going to change what I sing about?
No, I have to be who I am. There were people that wanted me to take certain songs off the album because they thought it would pose a problem. But that would be changing who I am. And I'll never do that for anyone.
Yes, a general issue, because this is a no kidding. Okay, I got an insurrection out here.
I think they want to talk about the album.
But this is a serious issue, which is, a lot of people said, how are we going to control on television what our kids see? And all of the talk, the delays that are taking place and all that. If you were answering them, what would you say?
Well, I think that was already in the making. I think I was just kind of the poster child for them. I was the what do you call it? The pawn that they used to put me behind it to kind of push it forward, so to speak. In the rest of the world, I just got back from Europe, and they don't understand what all the hoopla is about. Really. And they don't understand why America is reacting in such a way, but what can you say?
All right. Okay, I can't read lips up here anymore, guys. I got to say one thing. Can I say?
Are you trying to read my lips?
I'm trying to read your lips because I can barely hear you.
But I truly do. I want to put it behind me, and I really don't want to talk about it ever again.
Janet faced severe backlash. Her music was blacklisted from major radio stations and TV outlets like MTV and CBS, and she was uninvited from the Grammys that year. The FCC received over 500,000 complaints, leading to tighter broadcasting restrictions and massive fines. Live TV events became more heavily censored and delayed, shifting how networks approached anything live for the years that followed. It was one of the first truly viral moments of the internet. Searches for Janet Jackson broke records on early search engines like Yahoo and Google. In a way, it marked the beginning of the instant outrage internet culture we know today. In fact, one of YouTube's co-founders, Jawed Karim, has said that this incident was one of 2 key moments in recent history that made him realize there was no easy way to find and watch video clips online. This sparked the idea for a platform where people could easily upload and share videos. The media and news outlets were relentless in their criticism. Right after the performance, the media framed Janet as the main culprit. Headlines used words like stunt, indecent, and shocking, portraying the moment as a deliberate attempt to cause controversy. Janet was portrayed as someone who had single-handedly corrupted American television. Pundits, talk shows, and conservative commentators accused her of pushing moral boundaries and setting a bad example. The coverage often played into racial and gender double standards, painting her as hypersexual and manipulative while minimizing Justin's role entirely. Media criticism then quickly translated into action. MTV distanced itself from Janet, pulling her videos and denying her airtime. CBS, the network that aired the Super Bowl, also froze her out with radio stations following suit shortly after. Janet's intentions and legacy were also called into question, highlighting her sensual image and previous performances as evidence that she must have wanted the controversy. Meanwhile, Justin was described as caught off guard or a victim of a mishap despite playing an active role. The timing also didn't help. This happened during the George W. Bush era of America, and media culture was leaning conservative. Politicians and media figures used the moment to push for stricter FCC regulations, and Janet became a talking point in the culture wars. Immediately after the incident, Janet issued a public apology, saying the wardrobe malfunction was not intentional and expressing regret if anyone was offended. However, CBS and MTV continued to distance themselves from her, and the apology didn't stop the media backlash. Janet's silence almost became deafening as she chose not to speak in detail about the incident. She would later go on to say that she didn't want to add fuel to the fire and believed the best course was to remain quiet and let it pass. However, in 2022, during her self-titled documentary, she finally revealed more about how she felt about the incident, which was almost 20 years later. She also revealed that she had told Justin not to make a public statement in her defense, as she wanted to protect him, even as she faced the full brunt of the backlash. Despite the immense pressure and career damage, she remained composed and didn't call out Justin directly in a negative way. She did acknowledge, though, that the situation was deeply hurtful and she was unfairly treated. Naturally, the performance had a significant negative impact on the success of the lead single. As a result of the media blackout and industry backlash, the song's airplay, particularly in the US, was heavily restricted. The media and public focused more on the scandal rather than the music, effectively derailing her promotional efforts. The song struggled on the charts, peaking at number 45 on the Hot 100, a stark contrast to the success of her earlier singles. The music video, which was scheduled to premiere on VH1, was subsequently pulled, further reducing its visibility. Despite all of this, Janet continued to promote the single, especially overseas, with a number of live appearances to perform the song. The music video continued to be shown on all major music channels outside of the US. The single would also chart in a number of territories, including the UK, Canada, Japan, and Europe, although with significantly lower placements than past releases. It was also around this time that a new version of the song would appear online. The remix gave the track a completely new flavour, aligning its production more with early 2000s hip-hop. It felt like a reintroduction of Janet to urban radio, emphasising attitude and swag. It was later confirmed that this mix was initially sent to urban radio. However, its release was cancelled after the fallout, and instead it would be included in a promotional Japanese vinyl for the single's release.
I Want You is the urban single. Just a Little While is the pop single. I Want You was written by Kanye West, or it was originally brought to me by Kanye, who I think is absolutely wonderful. And it's a different kind of song for me. It's more of like a throwback. more of a like those doo-woppy, which I've never done before, which is quite exciting, and I enjoyed recording it in the studio.
The second single, I Want You, is a lush, retro soul ballad built on warm strings and delicate keys. The production is heavily inspired by 1960s soul music, especially the Motown era. There's a soft crackle in the instrumental that mimics the sound of a vintage vinyl record, adding a layer of nostalgia and romantic intimacy to the song. The track has a dreamy, almost cinematic quality as it floats rather than drives, with Janet's airy vocals gliding over the beat. Instead of her usual stacked harmonies and sharp dance production, this song leans into gentleness, vulnerability, and timelessness. The biggest buzz leading up to the single's release was that it was co-produced by Kanye West, who at the time was exploding as a producer and about to become a superstar in his own right. Having just dropped his album The College Dropout, which defined his signature sound of using soul samples, pitched up vocals and lush instrumentation, he was starting to reshape hip-hop and R&B. Janet rarely worked with newer producers outside her usual circle, and fans expected a bold, fresh direction, but instead they got something surprisingly classic and tender. Rather than pushing a futuristic club sound, Kanye delivered a vintage, romantic atmosphere, showcasing Janet in a softer, more emotionally honest light. John Legend, who co-wrote the song, plays the piano throughout. He was still in the early stages of his own career and got a chance to shine on the record, blending seamlessly with the production crafted by Jam, Lewis, and West. The transition between the first two singles was drastic in tone and genre. On one hand, it showed Janet's versatility and reminded fans of her ballad mastery. On the other, the lack of sonic consistency in sound may have confused radio formats and listeners, especially during a time when her promotion was already being stifled after the Super Bowl fallout.
Welcome to History in the Making.
Hi BET, this is day one. This is the first shot of the evening, and it's one of the last shots of the actual video. I'm at the Boys and Girls Club where Jermaine is like coaching some of the kids.
The concept of the video, one thing, the song's like kind of like old school R&B kind of vibe to it. So, we just wanted to be real stripped down and real simple with the video.
It wasn't a lot of major wardrobe, major hair, major makeup. It was just very simple and very real in a sense, So I like that, and I hadn't done a video like that. It seemed like in a while.
That's not true.
He
wanted to start walking, so
She's walking with the camera, and then
we're gonna walk here. We're gonna walk alongside camera for this one, and then when we get to, go ahead, let's rehearse it. Add action, and then just go down. Now you going.
we got JD and Janet on film together.
Let's role play that.
I don't like doing stuff that's expected. Like everybody was probably thinking. I read a couple of places like that's why I really was trying to be with her.
Oh, you saw that? Oh, boy.
Something like this. When you get Janet's project, you're gonna get Janet Jackson as you know Janet Jackson.
You still get a sense of the old me, and then it goes back a little ways, a little further than that. And I think there's a bit of new me there that you feel as well.
And this album is really about positive love and where she's at in her life right now. And so the second half of the album was very easy once me and Janet got to know each other, and you just finding songs that really are true to her and that she can sing with conviction. And that's why it's so much passion in this I Want You record. That's where she's at in her life right now.
See, that's the whole concept here. Real simple video, and then the slam dunk is JD's in the video, because he hasn't been in any of her stuff and all the rumors. Are they together? They're not together, blah, blah, blah. Oh, here they are.
I'm getting off the bus. I'm walking into the Boys and Girls Club. This is a continuation of the show that we did before. No, not a continuation. This is what happens before coming in.
All right, so we're doing the bus scenes. In the other video we were shooting, she came out the trailer wearing a So-So-Dub jacket. And that's when I got the idea. I was like, oh, she's, it'd be great if we did a whole video where you just look like you do right now when she was going home. So took her a minute, thought about it. She asked JD if he'd be okay with doing the video because I was vague, and I was like, oh, if I could get the two of you in a simple video together, oh, it's going to be gold. And she asked him, he said, yeah. And that's when my video came to life.
Rehearsal. Myers, I'm watching you for action. And playback.
David, I think he's a wonderful director, and he's a good friend. We've been friends since the All For You video. He has a great eye.
Every time we get the chance to work together, I always try to do something a little different, you know. And I hadn't seen her do a real stripped down, real basic video. I got a taste of it. I did a Beanie Man video with her where she was a guest star, and I got her, just real stripped down in that, but I was still like in a Jamaican environment. I just wanted to put her in a real like contemporary American environment, and it's such a, bring out the emotions of the song and the bittersweetness of it. And, so me and her just were vibing about that, and thought it'd be really fun to do something just really simple. No visual effects, no gags. The whole strength of the video is on just the honesty of the piece, and that was sort of what we set out to do. Sometimes it's an important visual effect. Today it's an important emotion.
It was much more difficult making those albums in the past. Not all of them, but some in particular, because of the subject matter and what was going on in my life at that time. But life is really different now. Life is really good.
The music video was again directed by Dave Myers, who crafted a visual that was designed to resemble Brooklyn, with a warm, community-centered feel. Janet is shown walking through a city at night, passing by everyday scenes before arriving at a recreation center to meet her boyfriend. The narrative aimed for a simple, intimate tone, with minimal wardrobe, hair and makeup reflecting the realness of city life. Casting included a diverse range of extras to help create an authentic neighborhood vibe. Part of the video's emotional weight came from the subtle reveal of Jermaine Dupri, who was Janet's rumored boyfriend at the time. Their on-screen kiss confirmed their relationship in a soft, understated way. Despite the blacklist, Janet did manage to do a handful of live shows promoting the single, but once again the lack of airplay continued to impact the era and visibility of the single. The censor was that heavy that at the time many people were unaware that Janet was even releasing music. This was before the days of streaming and social media, so radio and TV were the main ways artists could promote new and upcoming releases. The track received widespread praise from critics for its nostalgic charm, emotional depth, and refined production. Many highlighted its retro soul sound as something reminiscent of 1960s girl groups, while still feeling fresh and contemporary. Reviewers admired its vulnerability and romantic longing, calling it a crossover gem and a return to Janet's softer, more melodic side. The track's swooning charm, sweetness and lovesick tone were noted as especially poignant. The production was singled out for its delicate yet rich texture. Some described it as sounding like a long-lost classic that had just been rediscovered. Janet's vocal performance was praised for its intimacy and honesty, showcasing her versatility and ability to move effortlessly between genres. At the time of its release, the song was only available to be purchased in the US and UK, further restricting the song's global reach. The track did manage to hit number 57 on the Hot 100 and would go on to be certified platinum shortly after. Three months later, the final single, All Night Don't Stop, was released. This marked a return to her club-ready, dance floor-focused roots. The track, which is described as electro dance, infused with elements of R&B, house and hip-hop, is built around a bouncy bass line, tight drums and layers of synths and samples that give it a gritty yet polished feel. And its melody is built around a sample of Herbie Hancock's 1975 hit, Hang Up Your Hang-Ups. The groove is hypnotic and unrelenting, designed to keep people moving. Janet's vocals are whispered, seductive, and rhythmically woven into the beat. Instead of soaring melodies, her voice becomes part of the percussive texture, making the track feel sleek and kinetic. Lyrically, it's a celebration of nightlife, movement, and sensuality. Janet sings about dancing through the night, letting go, and giving into rhythm and desire. It's not overly explicit, but it's undeniably sexy and bold, embracing physical expression in a fun, confident way. The music video, directed by Francis Lawrence, is set in a warehouse-style space during a citywide blackout.
there's a blackout in the city, and we're dancers in a rehearsal hall trying to figure out a source of light so that we can continue our rehearsals is really what the storyline of it is. And it's just, to a certain degree, the way we act in rehearsals. Gil Dodalao is the choreographer for this project, and he's danced with me since the Velvet Rope Tour, which was 7 years ago, I think, 6 years ago, something like that. Not since the Velvet Rope Tour, but since the Velvet Rope Project. Very talented. He's from Hawaii. He's different, very gifted. He studied, all the jazz, the ballet, all the stuff everyone else did, but he also has another flavor in there that I think is very different, that no other choreographer truly has to offer. Because he's Hawaiian, he also studied Hawaiian dancing. And bits and pieces here and there in the choreography, you'll see a little bit of the Hawaiian flavor come out in our movements, but he fuses all of that together along with more hip-hop flavor, and I think it's a beautiful blend. He's incredibly talented. The choreography is very high energy. That routine for all night is it's not an easy routine. I mean, it may seem, it takes a lot of energy. It's very physical, and it's a great deal of dance, non-stop from beginning to end. Francis is incredibly talented, Francis Lawrence. We've done 3 or 4 videos together now, and he's just such a wonderful director to work with, very pleasant. He knows what he wants. He knows how to shoot. He gets behind the camera himself as well, and he's a doll. He has such an eye, such a vision. It's wonderful to work with. It's just an abandoned hotel down in Skid Row, downtown, and a beautiful, actually, hotel. It was very dusty. I mean, as dirty as you see us in the video, that's how dirty it was. It was incredibly dusty.
Janet and her dancers perform intense, high-energy choreography in the shadows, lit only by flashlights and glowing streetlights. It has a raw industrial vibe with slick visuals and tight cuts, highlighting her power as a performer even when stripped of flashy production. The blackout setting metaphorically echoed how she was being kept in the dark from mainstream platforms post-Superbowl, but still shining in underground and fan spaces. The track was widely praised for its bold, infectious energy and forward-thinking production. Critics highlighted it as one of the standout tracks from the album, applauding its blend of electro-funk, samba rhythms, Latin percussion, and a throbbing bass-heavy groove that made it irresistible on the dance floor. The track was celebrated for its hypnotic, machine-polished sound, pulsing beats, and seductive vocal delivery, creating a club-ready anthem with crossover appeal. Reviewers noted the track's inventive arrangement and saw it as a natural evolution of Janet's signature dance pop style, still rooted in funk, but with a cooler, more modern edge. Some even described it as hypnotic and primal, with elements that tapped into the mashup and remix culture popular in the early 2000s. The visual was equally lauded. The sultry yet raw choreography with a DIY aesthetic aligned with the song's underground feel. Critics praised the provocative yet clever video, with themes of intimacy and resilience, including the scene of dancers powering their own sound system with a car battery. It earned multiple award nominations, including Best Dance Video and Best Choreography, and contributed to Lawrence winning Director of the Year. The track ultimately earned Best Pop Song at the 2005 BMI London Awards, cementing it as one of Janet's most dynamic yet underrated dance releases. Edited versions of the video aired on some music platforms with all sexual content removed. The edit drew criticism, particularly for cutting a scene involving a kiss between 2 female dancers. Advocates for LGBTQ representation raised concerns about the double standard in how romantic relationships are portrayed, emphasizing that Janet had long been a supporter of equal rights. The situation reflected a broader trend of self-censorship by networks after the backlash, largely driven by fear of regulatory fines. The commercial performance of the single was also significantly impacted, with the song missing the Hot 100 entirely. However, it did reach #1 on the dance club chart. It did manage to chart internationally. In Australia, the track debuted and peaked at number 24, remaining on the chart for 10 weeks, and in the UK it landed at number 19. While no further official singles were released, the fan favourite deep cut, R&B Junkie, was released as a promotional single in December of that year. The Evelyn Champagne King sample grounds the song in nostalgia while giving it Janet's signature groove and energy. The production is fresh yet retro, fusing old school with a modern polish. Vocally, Janet brings her playful, rhythmic delivery almost like she's riding the beat than trying to overpower it. Her tone is light, joyful, and infectious. The lyrics are all about celebrating music, especially the kind that makes you want to dance. It's about being an unapologetic R&B fanatic, reminiscing on the joy and escapism the music brings. It's one of the most upbeat and carefree songs from the record. It helps balance out the more sensual and introspective tracks, and even though it wasn't released as an official single, it instantly became a fan favourite, with the track becoming a regular part of Janet's set lists when touring. Reviewers gave the song positive feedback for its vibrant throwback energy, with many describing it as a feel-good jam. The song was noted for its strong club potential, and its use of the sample was seen as a clever nod to the past. While a few critics felt the lyrics were light, the track's retro vibes, upbeat production, and undeniable groove more than made up for it. Whilst a video wasn't shot for the record, it did manage to reach #1 on the bubbling underchart. R&B Junkie had all the right ingredients of a chart hit, and what it may have lacked was industry support at a time when she was being sidelined. The album, which was released just 7 weeks after the Superbowl incident, is an exploration of sensuality, vulnerability, and self-definition. The album's title is taken from Janet's middle name, reflecting her desire to present a more personal and introspective side on the record. Rather than just a collection of love songs or sexy club bangers, the album attempts to peel back the layers of Janet's persona, introducing the listener to her alter egos and her private emotional world. Many of the themes presented include romantic longing, sexual liberation, empowerment, and escapism. These are framed by interludes across the album that act as inner monologues, deepening the narrative around her identity and emotional complexity. This varied soundscape mirrors her emotional journey and reflects her ability to effortlessly hop between genres while maintaining a cohesive tone. Janet also co-wrote the majority of the album and had a strong creative hand in shaping its sound and concept. The rollout for Damita Jo was abruptly impacted following the incident. Though anticipation for the 8th album had initially been high, the fallout led to major setbacks. Throughout the era, MTV, Viacom, and Clear Channel, some of the biggest forces in music and media, either reduced or outright banned her content. The censorship also included concerns over the explicit lyrical content contained within many of the songs, which led to radio edits, video cuts, and limited exposure of several tracks. The project is one of Janet's most sensual albums, with songs that explicitly explore sexual pleasure, intimacy, and desire. While she had touched on erotic themes before, Damita Jo was particularly bold in using words and phrases that were more direct and provocative. The album was artistically bold and thematically consistent. However, its sensual content became another target in an environment already reacting strongly to Janet's public image. The result was a double blow: media blacklisting due to the Super Bowl incident and censorship due to the album's sexual openness. The album debuted at #2 on the Billboard 200, selling over 381,000 copies in its first week in the US, and would go on to be certified platinum shortly after. The project also performed well in Japan and Australia, two places where Janet had a consistently strong fan base. However, compared to her previous albums, its performance was considered underwhelming, largely due to limited media support and airplay. Today, Damita Joe is seen as an underrated gem in Janet's catalogue, an album that dared to be vulnerable, joyful and sensual despite immense external pressure. It's also a reminder of how media narratives can shape commercial outcomes and how an artist's work can age into acclaim long after initial controversy fades. If the album hadn't been caught in the crossfire of the media backlash, it's very likely that more of its singles would have charted, and its impact would have been more widely recognised in real time.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited, I'm grateful, and I'm deeply honored to receive this award. I cherish it not only because it comes from my own people, but because it comes from the heart and soul of the music that shaped my life and my career. I'm amazed to say that I've been in this business for 30 years, and I'm proud to say that I've endured. That endurance is my heritage as a woman, and especially a black woman. I'm convinced that we black women possess a special, indestructible strength that allows us to not only get down, but to get up, to get through, and to get over. I truly thank God for that strength, and I thank you for your belief in me. I love you too. You've been there for me during the good times as well as the bad, and you've lifted me up with your love. Your loving support has always been a great source of comfort, especially in these last few weeks. So, thank you so much for this precious honor. I take it to heart. I hold all of you close to my heart, and I intend to use this award as further motivation to represent my people, my beautiful people, with energy, dignity, and grace. Thank you so much.
That's a wrap.